Originally, I wanted to share with you the 2020 book releases that I was really looking forward to, but I haven't really been in, in the bookish loop for about a couple of months now, maybe even over a year. So I don't know what books are coming out. I don't know what books are being hyped up. The ones that I do know, I'm not all that excited about. So I thought instead I would share with you my bookish buzzwords, because I think the last time I did one of these was 3 years ago, and I feel like now when I'm looking for a book to read, I know exactly what I'm looking for. So yeah, I thought I would just share with you how much my reading tastes have changed. Now, it's taken me quite a long time to figure out what exactly I like in books. I have pretty much tried to read every genre there is out there. Probably not every genre, but I know that specifically when it comes to the subgenres or genres that I gravitate towards, it's usually contemporary or romance or horror. And then if I wanted to dip my toe into kind of like the fantasy realm, I usually stick with kind of paranormal, supernatural type stuff, because I like ghost stories and all that stuff. So those are kind of the broader things that I gravitate towards when it comes to books. But when it comes to more specific things, I think one of my favorite things within romance is friends to lovers. Now, it's taken me quite a long time to figure out that, first of all, I actually really do like romance, because I don't think I read too many romances up until last year. Last year was the year that I read just a bunch of romances to try and figure out which of the tropes that I really enjoy, because I think before then I thought that I wouldn't really like romances, even though some of the books that I read, one of my favorite parts within those books are the romances. So yeah, I really like friends to lovers, because friends to lovers just seem a lot more slow burn and it seems a lot more genuine. I do also like enemies to lovers, but with enemies to lovers, it's a hit or miss kind of thing. Most of the time I find it to be a miss, because it's very rare for me to find an enemies to lovers that I really like. I think one good example of this that I actually did really enjoy was The Unhoneymooners by Christina Lauren. Next up on my list is female friendships. I think in general, just books about friendships I find really fun to read. I find the dynamics of different types of friendships within different books really interesting to read. It's one of my favorite things to write about, especially female friendships, because I think I relate to it so much, because I did go to an all-girls school, and so the dynamics of female friendships and the different types of female friendships there are out there is really fun to explore. Going along with this, I also really love stories about toxic friendships, not just like physically abusive friendships, but I find those like manipulative, toxic female friendships to be really interesting, because I think it's one of those things that not a lot of people really talk about. And the last thing that I guess would kind of go along with female friendships and toxic friendships and all that stuff is sisters. I really like reading about sisters, because I have a sister, and so I relate to those kind of stories really well. Anyway, moving on, another buzzword that would grab my attention is if you tell me that a story is set in a boarding school. I find boarding school settings really fun as a backdrop, because I don't know, because to me boarding schools remind me of like something gloomy, something very atmospheric, something very ancient, and like with a lot of history and a lot of mystery. Those two things rhyme, I just realized that. And I also think that going along with this boarding school aspect, I think stories about wealth and like rich people and like rich families and family drama that centers around wealth or money in general, I find those really fascinating, because I don't know if it's because I grew up watching Gilmore Girls, and so the main central conflict within that is money. And I also really like books like We Were Liars by E. Lockhart, which is a lot to do with family drama centered around money. I just find that really fascinating. I don't know why. The next three buzzwords I think can kind of go together. I've seen a lot of books that talk about one thing, and maybe that one particular thing is very dominant, but the other ones kind of are sprinkled in. And those three buzzwords are grief. I really like stories about grief. I really like stories about loneliness, and I really like stories about depression. Moving on to these last three, I think these buzzwords are more to do with like fantasy, speculative fiction type. I don't read a lot of those, but if I were to pick one up, they would have to have these buzzwords in them. First one is fairy tale retellings. I love any sort of fairy tale retellings. I love fairy tales, and so if they are retold, I'm probably gonna be interested in picking one up. Urban legends is also a good thing, because I like the creepy spooky stories type supernatural books. And then last but not least, ghosts. I think we need more books about ghosts. We need more good books about ghosts. Anyway, that's pretty much it from me. I think it's taken me a really long time to figure out what are the things that I like in books, and I'm really happy with the ones that I have so far. I think these are solid ones that I'm probably gonna like for a while, and even if my tastes change, I think these are still aspects in books that I will always really like, because I think they're topics that I am very much interested in outside of like books. It's also just like things that I like to watch in movies or TV shows, or just like things that I like to, I don't know, learn about, like just in my everyday life. So yeah, I hope you're having a great day. Please share with me some of your bookish buzzwords down below if you want, and I will see you in another video soon. Oh, I guess you will see me, because I won't see you. I just see a camera. Anyway, okay.